The value of those potatoes was around 15 million. And if those potatoes didn't get processed, there'd also be 500 employees of the processor that would be laid off. That's where the $20 million came from.
Mermaid Stratford.
Okay, so did the farmers that had potatoes, receive any of that $4.7 million?
They got paid for the potatoes.
Minister of Agriculture.
They got paid by the processor for their potatoes.
Mermaid.
All of their potatoes.
Mermaid Stratford.
So the farmers got paid for the potatoes out of that $4.7 million.
Minister of Agriculture.
No, they got paid by the processor for those potatoes.
Mermaid Stratford.
So can you walk me through what that negotiation looked like?
Minister of Agriculture.
What it looked like potato farmers very scared. It looked like a processor that was scared and financially a lot of lost revenue. And it looked like a potato board that stepped up and mitigated this solution that solved the issue.
Mermaid Stratford.
Thank you, Chair. So I understand wholeheartedly that farmers were scared. So I would just ask, at what point in time was it decided that instead of, so the farmers were paid. So then the $4.7 million was used to ship and store already processed French fries?
Minister of Agriculture.
No, the money is being divvied out as it is being used for those potatoes that are being processed now. They might not use all the 4.7. It's a great deal if the market picks up, which I've heard the French fry market has picked up. So they might not need to use all that money. So it's a potato board is managing the funds and as it is needed.
Mermaid Stratford.
So as part of that negotiation, was it ever said to the potato board and to the Irvings that when the market picks up, you should pay this $4.7 million back to the province?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Mermaid Stratford.
So during this negotiation, at any point in time, was it stated to the PEI Potato Board and or to the Irvings as a condition that if the market picks up, that the $4.7 million should be paid back to the province?
Minister of Agriculture.
It was agreed upon that if they did not need that money, they've already, the market had crashed severely. So it was quite evident that they needed those funds. And going forward, if they don't need all that money, they're not required to take it.
Mermaid Stratford.
So I would just, I guess, do a comparison of the funding that was put out through the Minister of Economic Growth, Tourism and Culture. When we look at the stats on how many businesses are potentially not going to be able to open their doors after COVID-19 happened, it's approximately 30% of small businesses may not be able to reopen their doors. That's basically what the stats are saying in that vicinity, in that ballpark. So when you look at small businesses that are the driving economic force in the province and they were offered loans, what was the difference between all those businesses and a corporation that's worth billions of dollars, and why would they get a free handout of $4.7 million?
Minister of Agriculture.
Well, you and I look at this differently. I look at the 180 potato farmers that were able to put a crop in the ground, and I look at it that The investment prevented an environmental problem. It invented a plant health problem. It ensured the producers got paid, and it ensured that the potatoes got processed. Good quality potatoes got processed. That's the way I look at it. And if you don't think that the 180 potato farmers are small businesses, just like the gentleman Minister of Economic Development has, I apologize for that, but that's the way I look at it.
I have an intervention from the Minister of Economic Growth, Tourism and Culture.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make a clarification to the member across the floor that, yes, some of the programs were loans, but the very first program we rolled out was the Emergency Income Relief Fund for the self-employed, and that was $2.5 million that went into the pockets of islanders that won't be paid back.
Mermaid Stratford.
Thank you. And I will say we do look at this very differently. And the reason why we look at this very differently is I see a corporation that is very able to float themselves versus small businesses that's not necessarily able to do that. So I absolutely look at businesses as farmers as businesses. But I would note, because I actually thought that this $750,000 went out to farmers, but I realized it went out to commodities, that there wasn't a lot that was actually offered to farmers as a whole across the province, unless you were a potato farmer. So we do look at this differently, because I actually look at it from, I think, from the other direction. I look at it from, why didn't that corporation step up and help the farmers that they had committed to purchase the potatoes from in the first place, instead of leaving them on the hook? And I don't really have any other comments to make on it, and I'll pass the floor.
Okay, thank you.